Hello, this is week 13 and today we're continuing our practice of looking at the difficult and trying to reframe our experience of dealing with the difficult. And we're going to look at the 3-step breathing space. So today's Zoom is all about reframing our experience with the difficult, using the things that we've learned already. As you know, looking at the world around us today, there are many examples of difficulty that we could be sitting with. Whether you're freezing with power outages after a freak snowstorm in Texas, or whether you are dealing with the threat of forest fires, perhaps in midsummer in Australia, or whether you are dealing with the usual ups and downs, the COVID-19 mitigation and lockdown and all the impact that's having on people's lives. Or whether it's just a difficulty at work or something that's happened. Maybe somebody you care about has done something that might have upset you. Or maybe somebody you don't know very well at all has done something to upset you. There are many things that we could bring to mind as we do this practice. But remembering when we're doing this, we don't want to be going anywhere too extreme. If we move from the difficult into the overwhelming, that's a whole different experience. So with this practice, really just working with the difficult, the kind of experiences that we have in day-to-day life. Like, for example, my whining dog. My cat is on the prowl and my dog is finding that a little bit of a difficult experience. So in the background today, we might be sitting with the difficult of my whining dog. That's okay. So this kind of takes us back to everything we've learned about the way that stress in life can trigger this thing that we call the fight-flight experience. It triggers all those stress responses which are designed really for helping us to run away from tigers. So everything gets going, lots of adrenaline, but also all the kind of ability of the brain to deal with thinking shuts down. Because if you think about it, it's not much use trying to think your way away from a tiger. Your body really needs to just run. So in an evolutionary sense, it's a pretty useful experience to have. Walking into any sort of danger is quite useful to have, a bit of fight flight in our system. The problem is when this is applied to difficulties that then resonate within us, because instead of allowing us to be creative in our thinking, fight flight really shuts us down. And so through a meditation like the 3-step breathing space, we're kind of learning to check in with what's going on in the body, an awareness of how the body reacts under stress, so that when these things happen in real life, there's that stress response again. Now I can come into my breathing space. So the more that we practice this with the minor niggles of life, the more we're prepared to be able to use this as a tool when some of the bigger difficulties of life, as they will, appear from time to time. Once we've checked in with the body, the thing about this experience, this meditation, is we come out of that busy doing fight-flight response and we take a step back. Last week we talked about taking a step back from being underneath the waterfall. So you imagine the difficult experience, it's like all that water pouring down on your head. And the meditation is like just taking a step back. So the waterfall's still there. You can still observe everything going on, but without it actually being so kind of present, I guess. You can step back and see the waterfall still present. You're still there in the moment, but you've changed your relationship to the experience. Instead of being caught up in the experience and in the doing mind and the thinking mind and all that brings in what we talked about last week, the first arrow, which is the difficulty, and the second arrow and the third arrow, which is the way that the mind takes us off in rumination or worry or self-criticism. So we have the difficult, and then we have the self-inflicted suffering, either the why can't I have that wonderful experience again? It was there for me before, now it's not here for me now. What have I lost? That kind of rumination on difficulty. Or it could be, there's this difficult experience, I really don't want to go there. That kind of avoidance, which then shuts down your ability to really relate to what's going on. So in this, by taking a step back and becoming the compassionate observer, we can see what's going on. We can see the waterfall, but as an observer. And more importantly, we can see what's going on inside here. We can observe how the body reacts to stress. We can check with the chest, the guts, the neck, the face, even the brow. We can check what's going on in the shoulders or the back. We can check what's going on in the legs or even the hands. You know, what things the hands do when we're stressed that we might do without even thinking. Even the toes. Are the toes curled up or are the toes relaxed? So by checking in first of all with the body, what's going on in the body, we're aware of the stress response. We could also check in with the emotions, because of course different types of difficulty might elicit different emotional responses. Might be anger, might be fear, might be regret, might be shame, might be sadness. So recognizing the emotions also allows us more clarity in understanding what's going on, and recognizing also what's going on up here, checking in with the moodscape and the mindscape, remembering that the body, the emotions and the mind are all connected in a cycle, in a loop. What patterns of thought are going on? Is there rumination here? Is there worry? Is there patterns of anxiety? Is there kind of rehashing and rehearsing imagined conversations? Are there memories coming up? Are there certain visualizations coming up? All of that. Is the mind going off, chasing some, burrowing its way down a little rabbit hole that just kind of builds and builds into just some completely imagined scenario? And as the observer watching this, perhaps seeing if there's any patterns or if there's any repetition in the way that the mind deals with those difficult things. So once we've checked in with what's going on, we're then going to go into taking that experience that we've been aware of, but narrowing our attention down to a simple focus on the breath. And that's just like mindfulness of the breath that we've been doing since the beginning of this whole course. Just sitting with the breath for a few minutes in embodied, mindful awareness, not changing, not fixing, just being with the breath as an observer. And this takes us out of all that busy, busy, and it brings us into embodied awareness, and it calms down the stress response, and it opens up the rest and digest. It then allows us to open up these parts of the brain that deal with sensory input and deal with the being mode. And through that, we get a literal breathing space. The third part of the meditation then takes that narrow focus and opens it back out to the body and the breath, grounded in the whole experience around us, but this time from a sense of grounded, embodied being in the moment, from a mindful perspective. And again, if any, at this point in the meditation, if any thoughts are here, we let them go. If there's any emotions come up, we accept that they're there, but we bring the attention back to purely the body in this moment, in this space. And when we finish the meditation, holding that sense of embodied awareness and using this as a new perspective, a spaciousness, now perhaps we can see the scenario, the difficulty with fresh eyes. And we could make a choice. Perhaps the choice is, well, all things being as they are, it's okay to carry on with what I was doing. But this time I'm carrying on with this experience in a grounded and mindful way. Always, therefore, aware of any thought processes that might start up, or of dropping into autopilot. You can come back out into mindful relationship with what's going on. The second option might be, well, actually, maybe this is something I'm not really very sure about. Maybe I just need to stay with this and not actually do anything about it yet. Just be with it. See how the situation unfolds. Even if this might be a case of waiting, bringing patience to this. Patience. Here I am with this situation. I don't know how it's going to unfold, but I can sit with this, I can be with this, and bring some curiosity as things rise and fade in their own way. And maybe if I sit with this for a day or two or a week or two, it might just unfold in a way that I could never have imagined, might already bring some new ideas or some new wisdom. I suppose the third option you could have is to use this experience to go into your inner self and say, okay, in this period of difficulty, by observing the patterns in the mind and the emotions and the body and the triggers, what needs are not being met? What is the body, what are the emotions telling me about this experience? Why am I reacting in this way? And it might be that through that sort of mindful exploration, you might come to an understanding that there are essential needs that are not being met. And that then leads to your fourth choice, which is how to move forwards in a mindful way. Perhaps looking at creative and original, new, fresh strategies in order to move forwards. So with that introduction, which is almost longer than the meditation itself, we're going to go into the meditation of mindful pause. And for this, I'm going to introduce you to my dong. Dong, my bowl. This is going to begin the meditation and this is going to end the meditation. So this is a way of just, something's happened, let's just drop into the meditation. And then even though you hear this bell at the end, because we need a symbol really to open our eyes at the end of a practice, in real life there is no bell. when you come out of your meditation in a sense of grounded, embodied awareness, that then continues through the rest of your day. Okay, so as always, adopting a posture of mindful, alert awareness. You want to be grounded with your feet solid on the floor. You want to be comfy and solid and secure in your seat. You want to have your spine upright but relaxed. Shoulders, you could even just roll your shoulders a bit, make sure they're nice and relaxed. And for this meditation, perhaps with the eyes closed. But if you're not comfortable closing your eyes, maybe just softening your gaze and lowering your gaze, because for this meditation, we're looking inwards. Okay, I have no idea how this sounds with my microphone, so apologies if the dong is very loud. So in this meditation, beginning by bringing awareness to what is here right now. What bodily sensations are you feeling? Without changing anything, without trying to fix anything, simply dropping into becoming the observer and asking what is going on in the body right now. Whatever arises as the most obvious. Perhaps you might be drawn to areas of pain, or areas of tension or holding. You may be aware of areas of heat or cold, or maybe even a type of shivering. Check in perhaps with the chest and the heart. Noticing whether the breathing is shallow or fast, or whether the breathing is deep and relaxed. Checking in with the heart rate. Perhaps you might even be aware of a pounding of the heart in the chest. Checking in with the back and the neck and the shoulders. Checking in with the jaw or the brow. Checking in with the hands. And the gut. And the legs. And the feet. And wherever you might find evidence of the body reacting to difficulty, just turn towards that. Explore it with a kind of friendly curiosity, without changing, without getting carried away, simply as the compassionate observer. And now bringing attention to the emotions, asking what emotions are here, and exploring what patterns of moodscape are arising in reaction to this difficulty, and perhaps recognizing with a label what is here. Here is fear, or perhaps here is anger, or here is sadness, or here is shame. Whatever emotions are strongest, noticing and recognizing. And then once you're aware of them, just let them go. And bring your mind back to exploring whatever emotion arises next. It may be that you find the same emotion persisting, or it may be that you find a whole variety of transient emotions. So spending the next few minutes exploring these emotions as they come up. And now, leaving emotions to one side, bringing your attention to what thoughts are here. And in this, being careful not to be carried away down rabbit holes, just being the observer to the mindscape, observing patterns of thinking, and maybe just labeling what's here. Here is planning, or here is rumination. Here's a memory. Here's a whole imagined scenario. Whatever is here in the mind, observing with kindness and non-judgment, being aware of that tendency to bring a second arrow of self-criticism or self-judgment whenever we observe our thoughts, and mindfully bringing kindness and compassion if we find judgment or self-criticism, recognizing this, and in kindness just letting it go, and then in the space seeing what is arising next, observing the thoughts and patterns of thinking without engagement. And now we're going to move on to the second step of this 3-step meditation. And in this we're going to move to gathering and focusing on embodied awareness. And so just dropping attention now deliberately into the breath, wherever you feel it the strongest. Might be in the belly, or the chest, or the nose, or any other part of the body where breathing is evident. And in this, just dropping into the physical sensations of breathing. And perhaps first of all, just focusing on all those sensations associated with the in-breath. Each in-breath, a new beginning. And if the mind wanders, just bringing it back, letting go of thinking, letting go of the emotions, and gently bringing the mind back to awareness of the breath. And perhaps now focusing on the physical sensations of each out-breath. Each out-breath, a letting go. And when ready, in your own way, opening attention now to the full experience of the in-breath followed by the out-breath, riding the waves of the breathing as if you were floating on the waves of an ocean. For each full in-breath followed by each full out-breath. Moving now to an expanding of this embodied mindful awareness, holding the breath in awareness, expanding attention to be aware of the body and the breath together, the body and the breath breathing all by themselves, grounded and connected to the earth, and connected also to the space around you. And just holding in awareness whatever sensations arise in the body and in the breath. Breathing into whatever you find with a sense of playful curiosity. And if thoughts arise, just let them go. And if emotions are here, let them go. They can do their own thing. Right now, it's all about holding attention in the embodied sensations of being here in this present moment. Being aware with physical sensations as they rise and fade, and exploring them with a compassionate curiosity. Perhaps check back in with the toes. With the feet grounded on the floor. Perhaps check back in with the pelvic area, grounded in the surface you're sitting in, and the spine holding the body strong and secure. Perhaps check back in with the shoulders and the arms and the hands, and breathing into any tension you find here, just allowing it to soften. Perhaps checking in with the jaw or the brow, maybe even just bringing a slight smile to the face. Opening awareness to any sounds around you, allowing them to rise and fade as events that are observed, without engaging, staying with the body, staying with the breath. And if any thoughts arise, or you're aware of any reactions, acknowledging, letting them go, just coming back to the body and the breath. And then when you're ready, beginning to open your eyes, coming into the space around you, but in an embodied way. Looking at patterns of light and shadow and shape and texture. And using this as a way of expanding your embodied awareness into the environment around you and taking it forward with you into the rest of your day.